Hello, and welcome to my informal assessment strategy video on application cards. My name is Megan Lockhart, and this is assignment 3 for PIDP 3230 Evaluation of Learning. Application cards are a quick and simple classroom assessment technique that helps instructors determine if students understand a concept presented in the classroom enough to determine appropriate applications in the real world. Application cards can be used for almost any subject matter in any class setting, from a large lecture hall to a small corporate workshop. Index cards, half sheets of paper, and pens are the only resources required to administer this technique. The concept prompt can be printed on each of the index cards, up on the chalkboard, or overhead slide. Let's review some examples from the literature. Angelo and Cross discussed the use of application cards for a Foundations of Physics class. The instructor taught Isaac Newton's third law: to every action there is equal and opposite reaction. Students were prompted to come up with 3 applications of the concept around the house. Valentine and Freeman discussed the use of application cards in social work education. They wanted to assess understanding and application of group work mediating functions. The prompt was to give a single example of how to apply the group work mediating functions learned in class as a group leader in a support group. These examples show that application cards are very versatile and can be used for everyday broad topics to more specific contexts. What are some best practices for this CAT? First, single out the principle, theory, procedure, or technique that will be assessed for understanding and application, and develop your prompt. Write the prompt to be as vague or as specific as your course objectives require. Indicate how many applications you want. Note that any more than 3 applications will defeat the purpose of this quick technique. Second, budget ample time. Determine how long it should feasibly take to introduce and complete the exercise. Budget the time you will require to go through the applications and assess them. You want to make sure you complete the assessment before the next class. You'll also want to provide time for feedback and class discussion. Next, introduce the concept of application cards at the beginning of class. Make sure students understand that you are asking for applications and not a reiteration of the concepts. If you provide the prompt early in the class, students can jot down notes as they get ideas for applications. Describe how and when you will administer the assessment. Will it be for marks, or will it be anonymous and voluntary? Describe how feedback will be given. And finally, develop a checklist to keep your assessment constant and fair, so that when you read through the responses, you can quickly categorize the applications into 3 different levels for acceptable, marginal, and needs improvement. How should feedback be given? Immediately. This will help to reinforce or correct student understanding of the concepts. Highlight 3 to 5 of the best ones and reveal 1 or 2 of the responses that were not quite right. Make sure there's a variety so that students can see a good range of real-world applications. It's recommended to alter the wording slightly so the author does not know it's theirs. Allow the class to discuss the feedback and maybe challenge them to create new ones on the spot. If you choose for students to identify themselves on the application cards, provide individualized written feedback for each response. The limitations of application cards include: the class can shift from theoretical to overly specific. This may require some classroom management techniques to get the class back to the objectives. It's possible that feedback sessions could get lively and may take up more time than you allotted. You also may have a difficult time selling the legitimacy of applications to some students. They just may not see the value in it, especially if the class is not part of their field of specialization. This is a good reason to make the exercise voluntary. And finally, because this technique is targeting the application level of Bloom's cognitive taxonomy, it may not be appropriate for really novice classes. Application cards have several advantages as well. This technique is quick and simple. Resources and time required are minimal. Application cards can be developed, completed, assessed, and feedback discussed in back-to-back classes. Student interest and motivation in the course may increase as they see real-world potential to what they're learning in the classroom. Students can learn from one another. Students that may not have understood the context of this assignment will get a better idea of what's expected of them by hearing examples from their peers. Additionally, feedback will allow students with well-developed applications to get a confidence boost, not only in the classroom, but potentially in their area of practice as well. The instructor will have an ongoing incoming source of fresh contemporary applications whenever they perform this classroom assessment technique. And lastly, application cards are very adaptable. If students find providing applications difficult, allow them to work in pairs. If this technique is well received, it could be used as a daily journal exercise. It could be included as an item on an exam, or maybe as an end-of-term research project. The possibilities for application cards are endless.